This is Larry Galle. I'm giving an interview to Hugh McLauren Pepper III at the Mary C. O'Keefe Cultural Center, February the 14th, 2009. Coach, when were you born?
Well, where?
When and where?
Oh, Vaughan, Mississippi.
Vaughan, Mississippi.
And on the Illinois Central Railroad, where Casey Jones met his final train ride, had his final train ride in 1930, January the 18th, 1930.
Yeah. Now, this is around what bigger city?
Canton, Jackson, Yazoo City, Benton.
Okay. But where'd you go to high school?
Benton High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And Benton came down and played the Mighty Greyhounds.
okay. What about that game?
Well,
Who played on the Ocean Springs team when you?
oh, well, Larry Williams was there, and Charlie Rouse, and who?
Percy
Percy.
Miller?
Yeah, was he there? Yeah, I believe he was. He's a defensive end. Bunch of guys that I didn't know, but later I got to know him real well.
This is Ray Belandy. I've got a question, Coach. What year did you graduate from Benton High School?
48, 49.
Okay. So you played 48, 49?
Yeah, that's when 48, the fall of 48 is when we came here.
Okay. Just wanted to get that date in there.
Ocean Springs wouldn't come to Benton High.
Well, that's interesting because I guess Coach Clay Boyd was here at the time.
He came right after that. I
Okay.
forget who was it. Coach.
Mr. DeConey and Coach White was here.
Coach White.
Coach
But
White.
Mrs. Golding taught here, and her brother, I think, was from Benton. He was either the principal,
He's a superintendent of schools
up there.
But
That's how I think they got together.
Okay. Larry, we forgot to introduce our guest.
Oh my!
Your sister, huh?
This is Janice Galle Pepper.
Janice, tell us a little about when you were born, and if you would. I know that for a lady, that's not always an appropriate
Well, that's
question.
okay, I don't mind.
Okay.
I was born May 28th, 1936, right here in Ocean Springs, in the old record building on Cox Avenue.
Sure.
And Daddy built a house across the street, and that's where we lived most of the time.
Okay, very good. Okay, Larry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get that date on the Benton High School in there.
Now, when you were in high school, I understand it was after you went to Southern. You had a nickname. What was your nickname?
The jet propelled Benton Bomber.
Benton Bombers. Yeah.
Jimmy McDowell gave me that name. I fit to see him Monday night too.
All right. What colleges did you go to?
Holmes
Coach?
Community College and Southern Mississippi Southern then.
And you had some more. It wasn't a college, but weren't you in the Army and played football?
Oh, yeah, I played it with the Fort Jackson Golden Era Dixies. They had two divisions. Now the 8th Division was the Golden Arrows, and then the 31st Dixie Division, and they called them the Dixies.
What year was that, Lauren?
51.
51?
51, 52.
Okay.
I didn't play that in 52. I came to Southern, but I was there in 50 and 51, but I only played football there in 51.
What position did you play in football?
I was a running back that ran for my life.
You obviously were pretty fast.
When you get scared enough, you usually run pretty fast. Fort Jackson, we whooped the 82nd Airborne, the 101st Screaming Eagle. We whooped Quantico,
That's
Paris
Marines,
Island,
right?
Camp Lejeune, and Cherry Point. An Ole Miss running back told me 2 years ago that they had 16 major college All-Americans, and we beat them 67-7. He said we had a powerhouse, and we came to Fort Jackson, and Fort Jackson slaughtered us. But we had, oh man, most of our team was already professionals that had played in the pros and was in reserve and got pulled out during the Korean War.
Sure. Wow.
But boy, we had some horses.
Do you remember some of the?
I remember every one of them.
Okay. Who was your quarterback, for instance?
Jack Del Bello from University of Miami.
Mhm.
And boy, he went on to the Philadelphia Eagles after that. He could throw them. I was lucky enough to catch 6 of his balls. He threw me over 50 yards in that one season. That's how far he could throw.
Anybody in that service period make the NFL Hall of Fame or anything? Or?
Well, oh man, our right tackle was all world. Played with the world champion New York Giants, Jack Stroud from University of Tennessee. I used to call him Mr. Universe. He had shoulders about that wide. The left tackle played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Left guard played with the 49ers. The center played with the New York Giants.
Wow.
The right guard played with the 49ers. Fred Land from LSU.
Okay. Well, that's
Are they
good.
filming it yet?
Oh, yeah. This is good
I
stuff.
keep putting my hand on
I
my
know.
face.
I keep worried about
You'll hear about this later, I'm sure.
I understand that you had a choice when you went to school, went to Mississippi Southern. You had a choice on whether to play baseball or football. Which one did you pick?
Well, I picked baseball, but like I say, I thought I'd last longer and come out a little healthy. But baseball, professional baseball, is no piece of cake.
Excuse me, I think the question was when you went to Southern. Actually, you played baseball at
I
Southern.
played 2 years
Yeah,
there,
but-
boy,
yeah.
and we lost one game there in 2 years to a New York Yankee minor league team.
Wow.
And boy,
And you were a pitcher in
yeah,
baseball.
boy, I had some horses there. My first baseman was a great hitter, came from same school I came from. And the second baseman wound up being the head coach at Auburn. Shortstop, 15 years with the San Francisco Giants.
Give us some names, Coach.
Oh, coach. Well, Herbert Waters was the first baseman. Sam Miley, a great hitter, that stayed in the Paradox actually. He was a major league hitter, but he just got caught without a position to play, you know. But he was some hitter. And Doug Barfield, the one went
Auburn, huh?
Went to Auburn.
Sure.
Head coach and shortstop was Jim Peanuts Davenport, and the third baseman was an all-time great basketball player at Southern, Nick the Cat Rebound.
Heard of him?
He was something, and you couldn't hit a ball by him at third base. Left field, we had a big running back named Brooks Tisdale. In center fielder, we had a guy could go get him almost as good as Willie Mays by the name of Alvin C. Ent from Ocean Springs, Mississippi.
Well, interestingly enough, Alvin N will be here Tuesday to talk with us.
Alvin was, man, he could go get them like you couldn't believe. Could run fast and was a left-handed hitter. Boy, they believed in him up there, and he did a heck of a job for us. And the ballpark at Southern was huge, and Alvin had a lot of room, and we played all the New York Yankee minor league teams that were training in Hasbury, and boy, they hit some long ones, and Alvin would go get them.
What years did you play at Southern?
Well, I played the spring of '53 and the spring of '54 before I signed a baseball contract.
Okay. I noticed that you were named Little All-American in football while at Southern.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate in some of the feats? You know, I know you had many 100-yard rushing games.
Yes, sir. Well, Alabama was picked #1 in the nation, and we went to Montgomery and beat them one time with Southern. The year before they beat us, they had Bart Starr. Everybody in that backfield.
You played against Bart Starr.
Bart Starr. My roommate hit him and knocked him unconscious for 2 quarters. But he played with the 49ers. I roomed with him for 2 years.
Your roommate?
He had a 21-inch neck, boy. And he was
Jackson
Stonewall
Brumfield.
Jackson Brumfield. He was a milk farmer from Franklinton, Louisiana.
All right.
He's still doing well too. He's been here a time or two to
We'll
see
see
us.
him Monday night too.
Yeah,
Wow.
he'll be there.
Well, you played with the best, obviously.
Man, we had some horses, I'll tell you. And the Black Knight, Bucky McLauren, he's gonna be there Monday night too. He was a fullback from Monroe, Louisiana. He gained a lot more. Of course, he played 3 years. I only played 2. He gained almost 3,000 yards in 3 years there.
Who, during your football career, who was y'all's toughest opponent usually? If you played Alabama, I'd imagine.
It was always tough.
Mhm.
University of Louisville had Johnny Unitas and all them. Memphis State was.
Y'all played Louisville?
University of Louisville, and we played him in Jackson.
And with Johnny Unitas?
He was right there. Like I say, he didn't finish the game though. Boy, we had a guy run a 9,400 playing nose guard from Moss Point, Mississippi, and he was at Fort Jackson with me too. J.T. Shepard. Oh, he was some player.
Did y'all knock Unitas out of the game?
Oh no, but he didn't do too much, I tell you.
So y'all beat Louisville?
Yeah, we beat him 14 to nothing, I think.
Wow.
But he threw a lot of passes, and.
What was y'all's record during the 2 years you played at Southern?
Oh
Remember?
gosh, we was 110 one year and 11 the next year.
Y'all go in any bowl
We
games?
went to the Sun Bowl both years
Yeah.
and got whooped both times.
That was out in El Paso.
Yes, sir.
You remember who? I know you remember who.
College
you played.
Pacific, they were loaded
right?
too. And
Wow.
I forget the great coach who was at College Pacific for years and years. He was still coaching football at 98 years of age.
Sure.
He was still.
That's fantastic.
I can't call his name now. Ought to be. He's a legend, boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting point because today we have two, I guess you'd call them octogenarians. Joe Paterno at Penn State is 82, 84,
Yeah,
and then Bobby Bowden at Florida State
He's
is in
way
his
up there
80s.
too.
What do you think about that? Do you think these guys still have it at that age?
Oh, they got a staff out of this world. Any one of their staffs could be head coach, but yeah, they still. I hear them talk all the time. They still sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
Coach Paterno, you'd never realize. Coach Biden talks like he's 20 years old.
And obviously they still
got-
can recruit well. Is
Yeah,
also.
Coach Biden got two sons as big shot coaches themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back to the Pittsburgh Pirates, didn't you receive some kind of bonus when you?
Yeah, it was chump change compared to nowadays, you know. But it was a lot of money back in those days, and of course, Janice and I was supposed to get married, and that's why I went into professional baseball. I never dreamed I'd go into baseball, but I figured I'd last longer, and I never dreamed I was gonna get offered some money, you know. And my wife spent it as fast as I got it.
They call this a bonus baby, didn't they?
What, just approximately how much you got? I'm sure you paid the taxes on it, so the IRS won't come get you.
Was, yeah, they had the pension plan. That's one of the reasons I went in baseball. Football didn't have a guaranteed no-cut contract. They didn't have a pension plan. And baseball, everything football didn't have, baseball had. And that's one of the reasons I went into.
So you actually had an offer to play in the NFL?
Well, I got drafted by the Steelers. I went down and talked to Mr. Rooney, and I asked him those same questions. Do y'all have a pension plan? Mr. Rooney said, no, but we're working on it. He called George Allison, George Preston Marshall of the Redskin and the Bear. He said, they were the big, kind of the backbone of the NFL in those days. Mr. Rooney, Art Rooney, for the Steelers. But boy, he was tight with Edmund. I was getting a pension plan, had a guaranteed contract, and he offered me $16,000 to come play with the Steelers, and I was making more than that with the Pirates. And man, I didn't laugh in his face, but I almost did.
Well, that was good money in those days.
That was great
yeah.
money,
But
yeah.
like I said, and they played right at Fulford where we played. The Steelers played right there.
Okay. I noticed, I did a little research on you, and you played, looks like you played 4 years with the Pirates.
Yeah, off and on. I left my fourth year mid-season.
In fact,
That's when I was eligible to be sent out.
I looked at your record online. It said you pitched your first game July the 4th, 1954.
That's about right.
Yeah. You remember who it was against?
St. Louis, wasn't it?
The Giants, I believe. But yeah, I pitched several times against St. Louis.
So Stan Musial was
Stan
playing.
the Man was there. Red Shane.
Warren Spahn.
No, he was with Milwaukee Braves. He was with the Braves. And they were world champions. Boy, they had Dale Crandall laid up, managed the club.
Eddie Matthews. Now,
Joe,
Am I getting those
He's
confused?
third baseman. Oh, he was a third baseman, buddy. He put fear in you when he walked in, played left-handed hitter.
Yeah, that was my
Joe
favorite team.
Adcock, 6'8" first baseman from LSU too.
Yeah, he's from Coshado, Louisiana.
He owns a big Bremer Bull ranch right down there, I guess. Joe's still alive.
I tell you, the one I was impressed was a guy from Cincinnati, with the big arms,
Klazuski.
Ted Klazuski. I couldn't get over how big that guy's
He was
arms were.
intimidating.
The last spring training I went with, Mr. Ricky tried to get Big Clue for years. He hit 333, 336, 335. About 8 times he hit over 330. And Mr. Ricky finally got him when he started downhill. He had gone to the White Sox. When Cincinnati let him go, they wanted to get rid of him before he was washed up. He goes to the White Sox and bats them to the American League Championship, and they played the Giants, I think, in the World Series. But Big Clue, I later was a teammate of mine. Last spring training I went with Pittsburgh, he was there with the Pirates. They finally got him.
Where did y'all go to spring training? Florida?
Fort Myers, Florida.
Fort Myers?
Big Clue, one day, Big Clue's about 280 pounds, and he didn't have any fat on him. And I finished my work, and Clue was on his own course. He didn't have to work with the rest of the players. He worked on his own. Well, we went to shower about 11 o'clock in the morning. We started at 8. We went to the shower at 8 o'clock, and Big Clue was in there 280 pounds, and I'm looking around, I'm thinking, God, this guy goes, he could crush me in one grab. Anyway, we got to talking. He said, Bill, I was surprised he knew my name. He said, Bill, how you doing? How's your arm coming along? How's the leg? I said, fine, how about you? He said, well, I don't get in shape like I used to, Pep, but I'm coming along slow and easy. And he says, Pep, do you remember the night in Pittsburgh? I said, I've been waiting 3 weeks, Clue, for you to ask me about that. I drilled him right there.
Wow.
And that 280 pounds laying there like he was dead. He said, I never saw that pitch to this day, Pep. It's a miracle it didn't kill him. He said,
Wow.
I thought I'd killed a superstar. And you know, not one Cincinnati Reds, the manager, Freddie Hudson, great pitcher with Detroit Tigers, was a manager of. And so anyway, Clue told me, he says, I went back to the dugout, man, they was icing my head down, and I asked Freddie Hudson, the manager of Cincinnati at that time, great pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. He said, who the hell was that pitching for the Pirates? He said it was some wild, I can't say what else. He said some wild kid from Mississippi, from the Mississippi Delta, hit me in the head and almost killed me. I'm saying, God, I gotta get out of the shower. Big Clue, I'll have a flashback, grab a hold of me, because he was he's drafted, University of Indiana, drafted #1 by the Cleveland Browns. That's how good a football player Klazuski was at the University of Indiana. For a big man, he was quick as lightning with that bat too.
What about your teammates from the Pirates?
Well, Toby Atwell was my first catcher, and he was a short stocker and a good one. We had Dale Long, a guy hit 8 home runs in 8 days, still tied a record held by a couple other guys along with Dale Long. But Dale was our first baseman.
Jack Shepard.
Who?
Jack Shepard, Bob Friend.
He was a catcher. Him and Jack Shepard and Toby Atwell was a catcher. And we had I saw Bill Mazeroski, a Hall of Famer, play his first game there. Dick Grote, All-American basketball player from Duke, was a shortstop. And we had several third basemen. Gene Freeze and George Freeze both played it. And then in outfield we had Bob Skinner. Center field we had Bill Burden, big shot. And in right field we had Roberto Clemente, a Hall of Famer. I saw him play his first game. You know, when I went there the year before, Mr. Ricky had a bunch of old guys, 40-something years old, playing in the outfield. And I used to watch them get a base hit, and then the next guy get a base hit. They never would look at the third base coach. They'd round second base. Well, the second year they put Clemente in right field. First day, it's just like those clockwork. Guy got a base hit, next guy hit one line drive to right field. He rounded second, went to third base, and Clemente threw a rocket about that high. Boom, the third baseman caught it and tagged him out. For the next 20 years, they stopped going from first to third. Clemente, he was an Olympic sprinter too. That's how fast he was going to the University of Puerto Rico when the Pirates signed him.
Wow.
And he'd already made the Olympic team. I forget what year or where they went that year, but that's how fast he was. He couldn't steal because he didn't start fast. He was a long strider, but every year I played with him, he hit 13, 14 triples. Because Pirates outfield was so big, he'd get one by that center field and left center, right field. He didn't even slow down at second base. He'd fly into third.
Well, from then on, when you went to the AAA ball, right?
Yeah,
and what was the teams you played for in the
Our first one I went to was the Hollywood Stars, and
is that in California?
Hollywood Stars in Los Angeles. In those days, Los Angeles had two teams: Hollywood Stars and the Los Angeles Angels. They're the California Angels now, but they was the Los Angeles AAA.
Right, they weren't in the majors.
They were called the Angels, and boy, they had some power. We had some battles with them with the Angels and the Hollywood Stars.
This is before Chavez Ravine and the Dodgers
that
moved
came
down.
later.
So where did y'all play at in Los Angeles?
We played at Old Wrigley Field. Mr. Wrigley of Chicago built it because they were a minor league club for the Cubs.
Okay.
And then Gilmore Stadium, it's lasted 100 years. I pitched the last game ever played at Gilmore Stadium.
What part of town was that in?
It's across town, the other side of town from Los Angeles.
But there was a baseball park in Hollywood?
Yeah, for 30 years, Gilmore Stadium. And what I say, I pitched the last game ever played at Gilmore Stadium after 100 years. They got, a friend of mine, a former player, sent me a write-up about the next morning at 8 o'clock, after I pitched the last game that night. I had 2 out in the 9th inning with a no-hitter. And the guy got a base hit off it with 2 out. Janice was sitting right there.
Texas leaguer.
Yeah, he blooped it over second base. But at 8 o'clock the next morning, there wasn't no more. Gilmore Stadium, boom, the heavy equipment took. You know what's sad, Gilmore Stadium? ABC television right today. Yeah.
So this must have been 1956, roughly, right?
Yeah, 56. I was there in 57. Then I went to Columbus, where Ohio State is in Columbus, Ohio.
Sure.
I went to there. It was a AAA farm club for the Pirates, and I stayed there for a couple of years.
I noticed you went also to Salt Lake City.
Man, I got a diamond ring at home from the Salt Lake Bees. That's the capital of the state of Utah. In fact, when we won the pennant out there, man, we go up and meet the governor up to the big giant Capitol building, like it's sort of like the one in Jackson. But we met the governor and all of his cronies out there.
Brother-in-law had a foot in that one.
Coach, was that still AAA ball? Or yeah?
What it was in Salt Lake, I think they got about a Class A team there now.
Right.
But
Then you moved on to what, Dallas next, maybe?
Dallas Fort Worth, gosh, we had a power. You know who my manager was at Dallas? Walker Cooper. 25 years as